in fact ready.
And, let's hop on over. Let's get right into it, man.
Well, we got Integrity, we got Glorious, the teams are ready, and Corey's going to go ahead and give them the okay to begin the pick ban process.
So we have all of Glorious here today.
Yeah, ZP's got back, I assume,
ZP's, yes,
late
ZP's
last night.
Back. Yep. So it's good to have these guys back in action. Of course, we had Syracuse on last week's episode of Town Hall Heroes.
Yep.
That is the show that myself and Jake run along with Zoya and Sham 2. That's every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
The shameless plugs.
The shameless plugs, of course.
Well, second pick will be for Glorious. The first pick is here for Integrity, and they're going to pick their bands in just a minute. Cursed Hollow is what it says, but is that the map? It is the map.
That is the map.
Put it there. I was like, is this right? Is this right? That was actually...
That's a pretty good guess to make. Teams seem to, whenever they're doing the one-off drafting, they eliminate one map on each side till they get to the last map. It more often than not starts out on Cursed Hollow. I think a lot of teams agree that this is a more than well-balanced map, and they prefer to play on it whenever they can. So we are seeing a ban of Falstat out of Integrity Gaming.
Very interesting. Not a common ban. Now, okay, with the changes in this most recent patch, Falstat has gone up quite a bit in the tier list. In the fact that the other assassins, the like static picks that you have, like Tassadar, have gone down a little bit. Now, Tychus is a really, really big assassin, and he's much more common. But my assumption is they're scared of shock and awe.
Okay. That's a fair assumption to make. It's pretty scary, especially when you have that overdrive and the 25% damage buff at the level 20 upgrade, if we see them choose that ability. And, okay, we see a ban from Tychus coming out of Glorious. No surprise there. Tychus, like you said, just through realm of the other heroes being nerfed. I do not believe Tychus was touched at all in the last patch, so no surprise to see him banned out. He's quite the strong hero. If he wasn't banned here, he would have been first pick for sure. Okay.
All right, well, I've just realized that I'm going to have to restart my client before we begin the game. So I can hop back into the lobby.
What happened?
I'm actually, I don't have any game sound at all.
Oh.
Yeah. So I just got to restart the client after
but
the draft will go underway. So I was just letting them know. We're going to have it's going to be like a 1 minute delay at most. So we have our picks here continuing on. I'll put on the ambient again because it's weird without the game sound. We have Arthas here for Integrity. Now Arthas is a really, really common pick. ZP's Arthas is quite legendary. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's beyond scary.
Makes sense to take that away from Glorious if you can.
It's a really strong and decision in general. But Tassadar, I mean, the two big boys, and with Tychus out of the picture and Falstad out of the picture, they picked up the only remaining really big ranged assassins. And that's a really strong... I mean, why wouldn't they do that?
I mean, if I'm just looking at this draft so far, we've only seen 5 heroes exchanged thus far, but these are arguably the top 5 heroes in the game right now. So no crazy strategies being picked up yet.
What? We're seeing Illidan again.
Okay.
So they don't have the ranged assassin capability. I mean, they could get Zagara, they could get Hammer, they could get one of those guys, but Illidan recently buffed. We're seeing him play a lot.
Illidan.
Oh my goodness.
I really like that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually saw quite a bit of Illidan played yesterday, notably by 2Arc. They had a very odd strategy where they almost made Illidan their warrior and talented into a lot of abilities out of Tassadar, out of Abathur, that just kept him alive, putting a ton of shielding on him, tons of healing, regen. It was cool. We also saw Rhaegar in there too with the ancestral healing. He didn't die very often, I will tell you that. So we'll see if they decide to run anything similar. Oh no.
Oh my god.
I'm looking at this.
The aggressiveness of this team so far. Zeratul and Brightwing. I mean,
I didn't think about this, but they gave Glaurung Zeratul. He didn't get to play him at all yesterday. And he was subbing for SMG guys.
And not just that, but everything about this. I mean, we got the 2 Protoss buddies together. We got Tassadar and Zeratul. They haven't picked a tank yet.
Chen, you think?
But
think of Chen?
Yeah. I mean, I think Chen is the must-grab tank in this scenario.
I haven't seen ZP's played Stitches all that much. It's usually Glaurung that's playing Stitches. So things are pointing towards them grabbing Chen. It would be interesting to see if Integrity Gaming picks up on this and maybe tries to steal Chen away.
But where's their damage? They need the damage. I honestly don't think Chen would work out for them.
Oh yes, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I mean,
just not to run because the double warrior compositions have been falling out of style.
Yeah, I mean, I really think they want to get something to give that extra sustainability for the Illidan.
So it makes perfect sense that Glorious is going to pick up their Zeratul now. They know that they're probably going to get that Chen for free.
Right, for sure. So I mean, I could see an Abathur here on Cursed Hollow for sure, especially when you have Illidan. Illidan Abathur, we've seen that work to pretty great success. And I could even see them go for like this like kind of big body composition where they try to grab Tyrael as well, but again, they need that damage.
They do. So what do they have left over in terms of damage? There isn't
a
whole lot of options left. A lot of the Zagara is a possibility.
Zagara's great on this map. You get the wards. For creep tumors are effectively wards, and when you have to worry about Void Prison, you can use Maw as like a counter Void Prison.
Sure.
So it has the effectiveness there, and she's a really strong ranged DPSer, and as long as you can keep her alive. But Nazeebo is still on the floor here.
This is true. I completely forgot about Nazeebo. Yeah. How could I forget? Nazeebo has been picking up a ton of steam in this last patch. Some of the counters to Nazeebo that were present, like Anubarak, who was picked in almost every game. He was just the bane of Nazeebo's existence. And of course, yes, like as you mentioned, and Tyrael. Wow, good call, Jake.
Tyrael, Nazeebo. Okay. So I like Tyrael because again, you get the shielding. It makes more sense than Abathur. Tyrael's in the front line with Illidan. They can actually try to do the hunt and then the
yes, that's really scary. So they find people that are out of position. We saw this happen time and time again. Yesterday, someone's just slightly out of position. Their team is lagging a bit behind. The hunt goes in, especially if he grabs that global range. And even the range at level 10 is really fearsome. So if he's just on vision for just a second, he can hunt in. That gives Tyrael enough time to get in position, throw down that judgment, and then you also have Nazeebo who can set up that zombie wall immediately after. It's so easy to eliminate people.
Yeah, and there's the Chen pick, as we expected. Okay, so I have to restart my client really quick. Okay.
Hopefully. Okay, all right. Please pick
I don't know if you have to back. I think you have to go back to the lobby for me to get back in. I'm not sure. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. I'm restarting that. We'll come back to the caster screen while the game's getting restarted.
Okay, so these are interesting comps. I think it's a lot of it is going to come down to the Illidan. At least just looking on Integrity's side right now.
Yeah.
A lot of decision making. It's so many snap calls you have to make, especially if they're going for that hunt strategy. I would imagine that they are, especially if they're taking Tyrael. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go Metamorphosis, even though that is the more often than not common pick for Illidan players. All right, let's see. I'm not taking this party invite, Jake. It's not happening.
I hit it twice, and it booted me out.
Okay. We might be swap sides. I think that's okay, though.
It doesn't matter at this point because the draft is done, and actually it's still correct. So we can look at this one more time here. We got Integrity on the left side here with their full composition of Uther, Tyrael, Illidan, Nazeebo, and Arthas. And on the other side, we have Brightwing, Zeratul, Tassadar, Chen, and Vala. Note, with a Nazeebo on their team, the only interruptions they have is Polymorph, Emerald Wind, and Void Prison. And that is pretty much all they have available.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
The Ravenous Spirit.
Yeah. And we saw a lot of, especially in the grand finals yesterday of Kings of the Storm, a lot of it came down to SMG taking Nazeebo, and 2Arc was kind of scrambling to come up with ways to deal with Ravenous Spirit. How are we going to interrupt this? You know, et cetera, and that was pretty much the theme of the entire grand finals.
Yeah, and
they came up with a pretty good strategy in the end, which was basically what we're looking at here. It was the hunt and judgment. Pretty cool, but I mean, in the end, SMG was able to take some team fights towards the end of the game. But that game was much closer than the previous two. We're getting into it. Cursed Hollow, game 1, the only game.
Yeah,
because it is a best of one. Yes,
best of one series here. Cursed, like you said, Cursed Hollow. Now. Will Nazeebo continue to reign supreme? Now, Glorious is the team we know better here. We've seen Glorious for a long time. Honestly, maybe potentially the longest. SMG and Glorious have probably been together the longest.
Yeah,
all the squads in the community right now. They're probably the two most consistent, long-running squads in the community.
We were able to cast one game of Integrity Gaming versus 2Arc yesterday. We were having some technical issues, but we were able to cast game number 2. They had some interesting hero picks. I will say that. But 2Arc did end up coming out on top of that series, 2-0. Yes. So here we see Integrity Gaming once again getting into it. So, of course, I'll introduce them right now. We're going to have Dead Saint on Tyrael. Alex will be playing Illidan. Let's see. Taiki-san on Nazeebo. Shatter Swift on Arthas. And Killer of Gods playing support on Uther.
Dancing around. On the other half of the team, or on the other half of the map, we have Glorious Gaming with Glaurung playing as Zeratul himself. Mr. ZP is rocking the Chen Master skin here. Tassadar will be played by Syracuse, Vala played by Chthonluck, and last but not least, we have Nirak playing Brightwing. Nirak, kind of a newer face here for Glorious.
Yeah, I think within maybe the last 3 weeks or so, he's been picked up as their support player. We did get to talk to Syracuse a little bit about that, and then picking him up on the last episode of Town Hall. So it's he's been working out pretty well for them, to be honest. I think Glorious has grabbed 3rd place in the last 2 tournaments over the past week, so they've been doing very well. These guys are one of the big teams to beat in the current meta right now.
Yeah, they certainly are. I mean, they've been, like we said, they've been together for a long time, and even with just one new player on your team, he seems to be working out quite well for them. But typical stuff here, just triple lane and top, not super typical. Glaurung just rotated up to give some additional pressure here. Glaurung will, of course, be rotating around the map. Nirak backs up, but he gets a big Howling Blast.
There's just no way to get out of that.
Yeah, that's a big rotation top, but Alex might pay with his life. Maybe he's going to get out of there.
Really close. Okay, so it's good that you brought up that 3-man laning. It was common on some of the other maps like Dragonshire. Sometimes you would see the 3-man lane on bottom lane. It's actually becoming more common now, and we see people shifting around. It's not really so much to get the ganks, but actually the tower damage. They split up recently in the last patch, Blizzard did. All the experience was in the fort before. Now they've distributed it over the fort in the 3 towers.
Well, Nirak is getting picked off once again here. I mean, they're trying to put on this early aggression, but they're having, I mean, Integrity Gaming is having none of it. They're just waiting there with their triple gank squad. You have both the Howling Blast from Arthas to lock him down, and then you follow up with the Hammer from Uther to just stun him out. And Nirak's been picked off twice, but notice the death timers are so very short, and he can just phase shift back in. 45-second cooldown on phase shift, get right back on into the action.
Yeah, that never feels good to be the person on the team that dies twice within about a minute and a half or so. But take a look at the experience. They haven't lost too much for it. It's mainly because they've put on so much pressure on that top lane that they do have the soak. They have the tower down. That's an extra boost of experience. So they even though they've died twice already, and it looks as though Integrity has done a lot of work, and oh my gosh, Nirak has caught himself out of position once again.
Yeah,
he's going to be able to back out.
So
perhaps he's learned his lesson a bit.
I mean, they got that one tower, and they want to continue putting that pressure on. But I really like this strong defense here in the top lane. It's like, okay, if you have 3, we're not going to get greedy. We're going to play safe and put 3 in the top lane. Hearthing back at the last possible second as the tribute is going to be spawning pretty much at the end of its cycle. 2 minutes 45 seconds, about as late as it can spawn, and he'll be able to get back in just a little late. We're going to have a slight delay here for our Uther player to return to this tribute.
So, in the last patch, we did notice that there was an experience, at least from the minions in lane. There's a good bit of experience gained. It's much, much higher. So there is a bit more of a decision-making to go between, do you take the tribute, which is what we saw Integrity going for right here, and they cleaned it up really fast. Nirak is out of position once again, and he's beginning to be able to back up. Glaurung with the defense. Very nice.
Well, okay, so Glaurung managed to cap that tribute. Barely. Like, there was a change. It's from 7 seconds to 6 seconds. That change actually allowed Glorious to get that tribute. They were almost there, but again, they didn't have the Uther player to help sustain that.
Right. But so, yeah, as I was saying, before that tribute came up, it is really important to soak lanes now. You will find yourself quite a bit behind if you try to 5-man push up to those tributes. So there's a good bit of decision-making on the team. How many people do we send up? We need to make sure that we're continuing to soak all of the lanes, because getting to level 10 first, especially if you can have like a level and a half lead, getting to level 10, you're going to have such a strong advantage in the team fights because of how strong the ultimate abilities are, the heroics.
And one thing I want to point out is one thing that they could try to do, like you said, you don't necessarily want to send your whole team to get the tribute. What if they just send Zeratul and Brightwing, and Zeratul starts to cap it, and Brightwing throws down a poly at the last second? Maybe that's a little thing they've toyed with, because when you consider how long poly makes it so they cannot attack you, if they're not there right away, it's going to be pretty viable to attempt to, ninja some tributes, if you will.
Yep, absolutely. So let's talk about builds for a little bit here. We do see that Illidan is running the typical very tanky style build. He has the increase to his evasion ability. That just gives him an extra shield to basic attacks. He's got first aid. So we're going to continue to see him moving forward, taking those tanky abilities. And we see Integrity has gathered a lot of forces to take this second tribute here, and Glorious is just going to be poking. Syracuse on Tassadar has the extra range on his Side Storm ability, so they do have quite a lot of utility in terms of poking just to stall out this tribute. And, I mean, we can see the ZPs is pushing pretty hard bottom lane. Vala pushing really hard top lane, so this has got to be their plan. They just want to stall as long as possible, and they're taking a lot of map presence doing this.
I mean, look at the levels. They want level 10 first.
Of course.
They have that advantage. It's going to be close to half a level, and the longer they stall here, like, Nirak doesn't want to get too cheeky, but look at the Side Storm. The range on that Side Storm.
How do you stop it? I mean, Syracuse is out of mana now, so their capability to do this is going to go down quite a bit, unless he has well. Not too sure if he does. We'll see when he hops back up into frame. This is
actually insane. This experience lead.
I love it. And yeah, they have just about a whole level lead. And you know, Illidan is having a really, really hard time dealing with Chen down bottom lane. That's just a lane fight that you're not going to win. Glaurung can put himself into really scary positions up there because he has the blink. He can get away. He can just throw his Singularity Spike over the wall, and if they try to chase after him, he can blink and look at his fort. They still haven't capped it, even though they have
capped the well. Syracuse went back to base to get some mana, and they're going in here. They got level 10. They threw down Void Prison. They picked up 1 kill. Strafe goes down. A huge play here by Glorious. And they're going to pick up
what a dirty Void Prison that was. That was so good. It just isolated their entire team. And the problem with that situation is if you leave, or if the one person that's out of the Void Prison tries to go into it, you just let the other team cap the tribute that you've been sending 4 people at for so long. He had no choice but to try to stall the other team. It was perfect.
Everything about that.
Yeah.
The delay, the increased experience by soaking 2 lanes, hit level 10. He used the Hearth back to get just enough mana. He didn't even get full mana. He got enough mana for the engagement, and Cthulhu tapped the well. Like, it was...
And he had the really nice strafe set up afterwards because they had a hero advantage. Everything really just worked out so well for them. And then they were able to, of course, immediately move right on over to capture that golem. Now they're going to have a strong pushing presence up in the top lane. ZPs is continuing to be extremely obnoxious bottom lane.
Yeah, but a big rotation here from Glorious. They checked for the golem. They saw an opportunity to go here on Shatterswift and Alex. Shatterswift's going to fall. Alex taps the well and backs it up here, and Glorious is going to say, this is our golem as well, as the top golem is still doing work here in the top lane.
Of course it is. All right, so let's talk about some of the heroics that were chosen. The one that's jumping out at me is Illidan decided to go with Metamorphosis. And honestly, I'm not sure that I agree with that. I don't know. I just don't know how I feel like as though you need the utility with Tyrael, like you have a strong synergy between the two with Judgment and with Metamorphosis. You know what? I mean, not Metamorphosis. Sorry, the Hunt. Yeah, you can really eliminate people that are caught out of position. That's really the big advantage that you're going to have with this fight, especially since you don't have the super strong sustain that you would with like the Rhaegar, Avathar, Tassadar combo.
Yeah, but I still feel that you can't ever underestimate the sustain you do get in general. I mean, there's still a lot of sustain, but the Void Prison is real here, and the Ravenous Spirit coming down, trying to do some work, but he completely gets disengaged by the Emerald Wind. A hard judgment goes in, trying to lock down Cthulhu, but he's going to back on up here. A lot of sustain here. Killer of Gods taking massive damage. He's going to fall as well, and Nirak, is he going to be able to get out of here? Illidan is on the chase.
I think so.
Oh, wow. No, not quite. Illidan puts out a lot of damage. Cthulhu's going to fall as well. In Integrity, trying to make this an even trade out. Glaurung with the blink out.
He's so precise with all of that. He has so little health, but he knew that he had enough time to Singularity Spike, blink in, cleave, and then get back out with Wormhole. So smart.
Cannot believe.
Oh! He was trying so hard. He's like, I know he's coming for me. I gotta poke out, but he poked a little bit too far to the up and the left there, and he was just within tower range. He took the 1 tower shot. I wonder if he had E off cooldown, Dimensional Shift, which gives him a bit of invulnerability for about 1.5 seconds. I would guess he didn't. Syracuse is obviously a very strong Tassadar player. Gosh, that was so close. Actually ended up being pretty even.
Yeah, I mean, Integrity almost had that back, but just the really precise blink out by the Zerg.
Yeah, and he's got Rending Cleave as well, which gives him an extra 50% damage done over the next 3 seconds in DOT. So this gives him quite a bit more burst ability and AoE burst. So he blinked right into the entire group of Integrity, was able to throw down that cleave, blink back out to safety, all with like 3% HP left. So really smart.
Nice pickup there on the Illidan player. That's a lot of damage not available, and this wall is just going to be fodder here for Glorious.
Yeah. So I was saying that fight went pretty evenly, except for the fact that Glorious picked up this curse, and they get tons of push out of it. It's so hard. You don't have the towers firing back. They can just choose to back up, grab mercenary camps, grab that map pressure.
Kubi,
so strong.
Take a look at the map. It's pretty red right now.
It's looking pretty red to me, yeah. And what can Integrity do about it right now? They're 2 levels behind. Glorious is about to pick up those level 16 talents, which gives you a huge power spike because of how much utility those level 16 talents give you. It's going to be tough to come back to this position.
It's going to be very tough. Level 16 is almost here, destroying this fort. Might get them, but they're gonna opt to back up. They don't get too greedy. Even with the 1 level advantage, they're saying, look, not worth it.
Yeah. Okay, Nazeebo actually decided to go with rewinds this game. We almost always see Nazebo's take sprint, and that's because he's such a high priority target for the other team to take. He needs that extra mobility. So he's feeling very confident in being able to perhaps throw down a zombie wall, rewind zombie wall again. Maybe he's just feeling as though he's not priority target on his team and he can get away with throwing a lot of spells down. Hard to say.
It's interesting because he certainly is a priority target, but like you said, they need that damage output. Yeah. How many members of Glorious barely lived in that team fight? Yeah. If they had a little bit more damage, if he could throw down another pack of spiders even, it might have gotten 2 more kills.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, we're seeing a huge power spike coming out of Glorious. We have double singularity bombs. This comes close to doubling the DPS of Zeratul. We see the critical strike on the flying kick out of Chen. That really bumps up his ability to deal damage, especially when you consider how short. Yeah, it's burst damage too. Exactly. When you consider how short the cooldown is on flying kick. Look at that. They just melted Alex, and that's because of that critical damage on the next auto attack after flying kick for Chen.
It's so scary. You bolt forward with Zeratul, and you just use the flying kick in, and you remove the target. And Brightwing can even throw down that instant polymorph, which disables them from using any kind of escape. No dash forward, nothing.
And I mean, they've grabbed one of the polymorph upgrades. We can't actually see which one it is. We can only look at the icon. That's either a slow for the target that is grabbed or extra damage. So if they decided to go with the extra damage, that even continues to fill in with that. Okay, it is the extra damage. So that gives him even more burst potential. It's like pretty much a 100's mark going down onto that target. He can't escape. You're going to eliminate somebody. And then you also have Tassadar in the back throwing down storms with that extra range. It's scary, man.
It's really scary indeed. And Glorious has a big advantage at this point in the match. This is a best-of-1 series. They know they don't want to lose in a best-of-1 because that's the saddest way to end a tournament, and they are taking it here. They're going straight for the keep, giving up that tribute. There's no threat, no like big immediate urge for that tribute, and they have to defend this keep here.
4v5 though.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to poke in maybe to dissuade them, but they have the goal.
Well, a big Void Prism does go down, and the Ravenous Spirit is doing what it can to knock away, but we saw the aggressive Emerald win there just to disrupt that. And it's really doing its job. Alex taking a lot of damage from Strafe. Golem smacks that keep right down.
Oh, this might be it.
Shatter Swift, are you going to be able to get out of here? ZPs doesn't think so. He's going in.
And he's going to have another flying kick in just a second. Oh, he gets Howling Blast rooted. That was very smart from Shatter Swift. That was the only way he was going to make it out of that situation. But things look incredibly dire here. Core is down to about 50% HP. I just don't see how they're going to be able to make it back in this game.
I don't either, Gooby.
Not going to happen.
Not looking good. Wow. Not looking good at all.
Jeez, I was about to throw some questions to you, like, hey, what can Integrity do to make a comeback in this game? I didn't even get a chance to ask that. They took the keep, and then Integrity was looking to keep one person back so that they could take the curse, or at least take one of the tributes, and so they sent 4 people up to try to defend that keep, and Glorious just took the huge opportunity there with the VP, and they were able to clean up the rest of that team fight. And you only had one man standing. It's pretty tough to defend against the Golem and 5 other members of the other team. So, well,
they had a really good start. They got those early ganks.
They did.
On Nirek. They got Nirek twice. They got the first 2 kills of the game.
Yeah, and those are more confidence boosters than anything else. But it's like, okay, this is a really strong team. Glorious is well known. Hey, we're able to take some kills pretty early, but
they kind of got outsmarted when it came to the first tribute, though. Yeah. Or the second tribute.
Yeah. That was really smart play from Glorious. It was very well executed. And it just stalled so much. And, every second that passes, you got to imagine Integrity's like, oh, my gosh, we're falling so far behind just trying to take this one tribute. And you can't give it up at that point. You've already invested so much in trying to take it. Yeah.
I mean, the new Tassadar used to get additional damage at level 1, but now he gets additional range.
Yeah.
And when you give him that additional range, he can really just safely stall out a tribute for so long. And then when you just have Glaurung Zeratul, something that just doesn't die. You don't get him out of position. That's not a thing. He's going to get you with all of those spikes. Yep. And they just stalled, and that gave Glorious the edge, and that very decisive execution on that. I mean, from then on out, they were just behind, and they never managed to catch up that ground.
Right.
But, Integrity, we saw you yesterday, we saw you today. You guys are looking strong, so
yeah,
keep at it, keep grinding.
For sure.
And
congrats to Glorious for taking a pretty convincing victory there. I hope to see more of them throughout this tournament.
So our bracket graphic is not updated yet. So we'll show you that soon. But for the time being, we're going to figure out what our next game is.
Sure.
And we're going to throw to a quick commercial break.